Are you trying to make homeschooling work with multiple kids? Well, this can actually be a difficult task, especially when your kiddos are all in various different grade levels and various different ability levels. Hi, I'm Stacey with Kids Learning for Life, and this year I'm homeschooling 3 boys currently in grades 4th, 3rd, and 1st. That's 3 different grade levels I need to make sure that I am teaching every single day. Over the past 4 years of homeschooling, I have figured out a few tips and tricks to help me make my homeschooling day not so crazy. But let's be honest, it's always a little bit crazy, isn't it? First things first, I utilize group lessons. This can also be known as family style learning. And basically all it is you're going to teach one topic to all of your children at the same time. With this type of learning, it does require that you are modifying different activities to fit the different grade levels of your kiddos. So you can do that just on your own as you go, or you can find certain curriculums that are this kind of group/family style learning that have already kind of done this modification work for you. Now, I don't use group lessons for every single subject. I actually find math very difficult to utilize group subjects just because it kind of builds on itself, and it's just very hard to kind of have a kindergartner and a 5th grader doing the same math. But I do find that it works really well with subjects such as history or science or even some life skills classes or music classes or things of that nature. For history, it's okay for kiddos in kindergarten and 5th grade to both be learning about American history. Or it's okay to be learning about ancient Egypt all together. Again, as long as you're taking any activities that you're doing and modifying them for the different grade levels, then this is totally easy to implement, and there's actually a lot of curriculums that utilize this family or group style for these subjects. Another way group lessons can be implemented is if you have 2 kiddos that are in almost the same grade. So for me, I have a 3rd and 4th grader this year. We are utilizing some curriculums where I'm teaching both of them together. So for writing, for example, they are doing the same writing program, and then I'm just looking at their work and I'm expecting a certain quality based on their abilities. This helps me out with planning because I don't have to plan 3 writing assignments. I only have to do my 3rd and 4th grader and then my 1st grader. I have seen many families group kiddos together if they are close in grade level because the variances in different grade levels, they can still do the same activities, and then you just kind of, maybe one student is a little bit higher than the other, or sometimes they will teach together because maybe the 4th grader is at a higher level than your 5th grader, if that's what you have, and so they're able to learn at the same pace. So that definitely helps if you have any of that. I mean, clearly you want to make sure that you are giving each child their individualized materials and lessons, but if there are ways that you can combine, I highly, highly recommend it to help you with planning and help you save time during the school day. This next tip is absolutely key to me helping keep my homeschool day running smoothly, and that is the use of independent activities. Now, what I mean by independent activities are activities that my kiddos can do on their own while I am working one-on-one with another student. So let's use math, for example. If I am working with my 1st grader on math, then I need to make sure that my other 2 kiddos are doing things that they can do on their own. Now, they may be doing their math lesson. Maybe I taught them their math lesson already and now they're doing the practice problems. That's fine. That's independent work. Independent work for us also includes doing their independent reading, so 20 minutes of reading on their own. It can include music practice, and it can also include online programs or apps. So for us this year, we're going to be utilizing typing clubs, so they are going to have to go on the computer and do their typing lessons daily. So again, whatever you have that you can have your kiddos do, maybe it's a worksheet, maybe it's not even educational at all, as long as your kiddos know that that's part of the routine. So for our homeschool, I do like to keep these independent activities still schoolwork related, just to help keep with the flow. But you could totally use non-educational activities for these independent activities. What I mean is if your kiddos have chores, or maybe if they are not working with you, they have permission to go grab a snack, or they go outside and they play until you call them back in. They can do handicrafts, or anything of that nature. So anything that your kiddos know is part of your routine to be able to go do when you are busy. That way they're not coming over and, oh, it's my turn, or oh, I have help, or anything like that. You can have that one-on-one time with one child and then know that they can go do an independent activity while you work with someone else. So just keeping that in mind and making sure that somebody always has something to do will help make your one-on-one time more efficient. This next tip is for those of you that have younger children that are not quite school age yet. We get so many of these types of comments. You know, what do I do with my toddler? What do I do with my infant? Or, you know, we're gonna have a baby. And so you just wanna kind of think ahead and know that if your kiddo is in that kind of toddler to preschool range, let them join you at the table. Let them, you know, be with you. Let them listen to any read alouds you're doing. Let them just be with you. I do find that the younger kiddos want to do what the older kiddos are doing. So again, I've got a 4th, 3rd, and 1st grader, so there was a time not too long ago where I had a preschooler and then a 1st and 2nd grader. So all we did was the preschooler, when it was time to do school, I had a little workbook for him, or I would have coloring sheets. And so when my older boys were doing some sort of handwriting or whatever their math lesson was, he got to do different little activities at the table with us. Now, obviously, they get a lot more leeway if they want to leave and go do something else. I also would make sure that I set up various like activities, or they kind of knew where their toys were, and I would try to homeschool in the mornings after everybody was fed, after everybody, you know, was changed, and just kind of got that all settled so I knew that I had like an hour or two to get the lessons done with my younger ones. I did also try to utilize, when my youngest was in preschool, some learning videos, but I also found that at that age, because my kiddos are pretty close together, they just wanted to go and watch the Leapfrog Letter Factory along with the preschooler. So that didn't work out too well for us because it was more of a distraction. But if you do have a way to utilize, you know, I'm always more for quality when it comes to the types of shows that my kiddos watch. So when they were younger, it was a lot of Leapfrog. There were some educational YouTube channels and things of that nature. So always trying to keep it productive when we're utilizing screen time. This last tip is to remind you that if you have kiddos in multiple grade levels, especially when you have like younger kiddos and then you're older, like middle schoolers, high schoolers, let the older kiddos help out with those younger kiddos. You probably do this all the time already. If you have these types of age ranges, you know, where they're helping them get a snack or anything like that, but they can even help with schoolwork. Now, I don't recommend putting too much pressure on the older kids to do too much, but if you have a younger kiddo that just needs a math lesson read to them, read the directions, you can just say, oh, can you go ask your older sister or your older brother and have them read that to you since I'm working with another student. And that is one way that you can kind of incorporate that whole family style into your learning. So you might be working one-on-one, but you might say, oh, hey, you know, older student, can you listen to so-and-so read? Can you just, you know, check their math work for me? Because it should be really easy for them, hopefully, or it'll be a good little review at the same time. And that way, you're just including everybody all together. I don't quite have this bigger age gap, but I have utilized this with my 4th grader and then my 1st grader, where my 1st grader would have a question on his math work. And so I would just say, hey, can you read the directions to him real quick? I need to go do something. And whatever the case may be. So he was able to read the directions every time he got to a new problem. So he was actually able to do his math practice problems somewhat independently with his brother's help. So even if they're not super, you know, far apart in grade levels, you can still utilize some of this in having them work with each other. Hopefully you found a few new ideas to help you start scheduling out your homeschool day with multiple children, and it goes a little bit smoother this year, or at least that's what I'm hoping for you. If you're curious to know more about the different curriculums I use, what I use independent, what I use as group, you can check out my videos over here that show exactly the curriculums I am utilizing this school year with my 3rd and 4th and my 1st grader. See you next time, and happy homeschooling.